Hey guys, how you doing? This is Andrew Sims with the Sims Consulting Group, and today is for my business coaches, man. I got a couple of questions about coaching and how do I decide who I'm going to work with? There's some horror stories out there about people that that have had some experience in the coaching game, right? And working with people that are not necessarily applying what it is that you give to them, right? Or how do you select clients? How do you go and whether it's a fitness coach or whether it's a business coach or an image coach, whatever it is, right? How do you know the person that you're going to invest the time in is really ready to do the work, really ready to put forth the necessary effort, and endure throughout the process in order to really kind of get to where they say they want to be? Because a coach really is only going to guide you to the place that you said you wanted to be initially. So it's not necessarily giving them an end goal. They give you the end goal as the coach, and it's your job to use your expertise, your education, your experience to facilitate them during the process of getting from where they are to where they want to be, right? So there's some horror stories out there, right? People saying that they're going to do certain things and not doing them, and saying they're going to commit and not commit, right? And it's really difficult because at the beginning of it, right, it's like the New Year's resolution. At the beginning of it, it's always exciting. Change, yeah, I want to be this. I want to lose 100 pounds, man. I want to be the best employee. I want to be the top salesperson. I want to be the best in the business, right? Or whatever the goal is, right? It's easy to say that at the beginning, but do you have the necessary, do you have the ability to sustain that until it actually comes? Because it's always going to be, for the most part, it's always going to be tougher than you initially assess, because you're assessing it outside of what it is that you're trying to do. Well, what I mean by that is you're looking from you have an outside view. You're looking from as a spectator. It's always different. Like, let me a better example, great example. It's always easier to criticize the athlete that's in the game when you're sitting on the bleachers. Well, you should have did this. They should have did that. This is how it should have happened, right? This is what, man, why did he throw the check down? Why did he throw the bomb and the check down was wide open, or vice versa? Why did he throw the bomb and why did he throw the ball that way? Oh man, your foot should, you got to pivot this way. Or if you're watching a boxing match, man, why didn't he duck? Or why did LeBron, go all in this game, right? Or whatever it is that you're talking about. It's always easier to do it from the bleachers than when you're actually in the game. Because when you're in the game, there's a million things going on that you never calculated for when you're in the bleachers, right? There's your body, there's the situation, there's the pressure, there's all these different things, right, that you can't necessarily train for. I mean, you can, but it's always different when the lights come on. So how do we determine when it comes to a coach, right, who's going to have that fire and who isn't? Well, there's no real sure shot to do it, man. And there are always going to be people that you believe and you like, man, this person's a winner. They're gonna really, I can see they're going places, and that's good for the first quarter. But when the second quarter rolls around and they're still kind of trying to iron out the kinks, and they get frustrated and they get sad, and real big change takes time. Great things take time, and they're in the second quarter, and they're not performing like they wanted to or like they thought they, because everybody thinks they're going to get it quicker than they actually do, right? Everybody thinks success is closer than it actually is, and that's not a negative thing. But there are a lot of business owners that are like, man, I'm gonna open my business in the first year, I'm gonna make millions, right? That's not really the way it goes for a lot of people, man. And it's not a reflection on how good or bad that individual is. It's just a process. And that's what this channel is all about. It takes time to develop into what it is that you believe you're supposed to be. So the first thing we want to see in that person is we want to see the actual fire. Now, I know fire goes out right? I know there are times where, as a coach, you got to fan that flame, right? You gotta motivate them. You gotta jolt them. You gotta do those things. But if they don't come in with an initial fire, you can't start it for them. You can fan it for them, but you can't start that initial fire. So we always want to look for that initial spark. Like, man, what's really, and what I mean by spark, I mean, one, they need to know that there needs to be a change. And two, they need to desire or be seeking out an answer as how to facilitate that change. That's the fire I'm talking about, not just somebody talking. I'm talking about, one, they need to be able to admit out their mouths that there needs to be a change. And two, they need to be looking for the right source or resource to facilitate that change becoming reality. So that's the first thing we want to see. The second part we want to see is we want to see commitment. I don't really want to deal with people that are testing the waters when it comes to their future. And what I mean by that is, not to say that you're going to have everything ironed out for who you are and what you're supposed to be, but you better be committed to the qualifications that I, as the coach, believe you need to take in order to make this thing a reality. Because if you're not committed to just going through the process, you're definitely not going to be committed to doing the work. Because the process is getting the information. The hard part comes in after you get that information, which is now implementing whatever it is that you've learned, right? Let's take church. Man, it's easy to go. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy. But it's more realistic to go to church on Sunday. But the people that really get the blessing, that really understand and really see the goodness of God, actually apply what they hear on church, which is much harder to do. It's much harder to apply the information you receive on Sunday than it is to just receive the information on Sunday. But if you're not willing to commit to even going to get the information on Sunday, I don't believe you have any chance of really implementing anything. One, you won't have the information, number one. But even if somebody emailed you all of it, you're definitely not going to implement it because it takes more work. So if you're not willing to sacrifice on the little things, you're not in a position to build the muscle or the stamina to do those greater things. So that's the first thing. The second thing is commitment. The third thing, right, is the resource. Are you actively seeking out resources or new information, right? Because change is going to have to start in the mind first, right? It starts in the heart, right? You believe in but somewhere along the line, you're going to have to, what we call in church, renew this mind. You're going to have to think differently. And the only way to think differently is to constantly inundate yourself with different thoughts that more align with what it is that you're called or trying to do, right? So when somebody's trying to break a cycle, and we know how long it took to develop that cycle, right? They've been in that cycle for 10 years. You're not going to break that cycle in 1 month. It's going to be really tough to. Now, you're going to start on the process. Now, by faith, you can say, man, I broke that cycle the first day I prayed. But there's going to be a lot of work that's going to need to be connected to you maintaining what you believe happened spiritually in a natural form, right? So you let's say you prayed and you said I broke that cycle. You're going to have to now live that out daily. Right? So what's spiritual, when God, the cycle's broken spiritually, you prayed it's broken. But now the practical application of walking that out every day in life is going to require you obtaining and sustaining a wealth of resources. There is so much information outside of, I don't want to call it the nonsense, I don't want to sound like the old guy, but there's so much really good information to achieve some really great things on this internet. There are people, there are coaches, there are pastors, there are people out in your life that are qualified to really give you what you need in order to achieve what you believe God has called you to do. The question is, are you actively seeking it out? Because let me tell you something. Nobody ever has to tell me when the 49ers are going to play. I'm going to know. And I'm going to be in front of the TV. I'm there. popcorn, I've prepared. Well, the same thing needs to happen when it comes to what you want to change and what you want to accomplish in life. So the first thing we want to see is fire. The second thing we want to see is commitment. The third thing we want to see is how are they actively going after resources. I love it when people bring me as a coach new information that they've discovered that they can implement, and they want to make sure, man, what do you think about this? Oh man, that shows you've been on your grind, you've been on your game, you're not waiting for me. You getting in, you getting it in, you getting to it. So those are my main things. But even when you do that, man, you're not, everybody's not going to be perfect. And I understand as a coach, man, the people that you coach are walking marketing tools, right? They're walking advertisements for how you do what you do. But there's always a caveat. You can only give in the information. You can't do the work. Just like, we pastor, well, a lot of church people are in whatever position they think. Well, a pastor can only give you the information. It's up to the people in the pews to do the work. So that's my thing. But I have a scripture. I'm not going to leave you without a scripture, because for the people that are hoping to change, for the people that are hoping to make some adjustments and go into a different route, or believing to be in a position or see something, right? Or establish that business, or believing for a family, whatever it is that you're believing for, right? Whatever it is that your heart's desire is, that God has called you to do, and you're fighting for it. Check out Proverbs chapter 13, verse 12. It says, hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life. God understands that in the process, when your hope seems like it's so far away, you get down, man. We all get there. That's why this channel is so focused on the process, because the process deferred, right? The hope, the ending result of the process deferred can make you feel all types of ways. My job, my goal is to let you know that it's okay and you're going to get there, because a longing fulfilled is a tree of life. Not just to you, but all those other people that are connected to you and your purpose. So that's Proverbs chapter 13, verse 12. This is Andrew Sims with the Sims Consulting Group, and we're talking about something called verifiable change. Y'all be blessed, man. Peace.